Tantor Audio, a division of recorded books, presents Gladius, the World of the Roman Soldier, by Guy de la Bedoyere, narrated by Piers Hampton.
Chapter 1. Introduction. The Army of the Emperors. The Romans have conquered the whole world by no other means than thorough training in the use of weapons, strict discipline in military forts, and practice at war. Gladius. The Roman army has been a source of fascination ever since antiquity. No other military force has lasted so long or achieved so much. The focus in Gladius is on the individual soldier, on real people whose personal experience of the Roman army has reached us through a variety of routes. The information comes from Roman historians, from inscriptions set up by the units, from official documents, and from the soldiers themselves or their families on their tombstones, religious dedications, or even personal letters. These include everything from the records of individual soldiers to the stories of Rome's great battles, whether victories or defeats, and the physical remains of forts and military equipment. This material has been found all over the Roman world, and includes writing tablets preserved in bogs in northern Britain, inscriptions in North Africa, papyri in Egypt, the physical remains of forts on the frontiers, and of the civil engineering projects undertaken by the army. Taken together, they paint a remarkable picture of the largest permanent organization in the Western ancient world, one without which the Roman Empire could not have existed, let alone been created, of the men who made it work and the women and children who shared their lives. Imagine the whole Roman army, which numbered from around 1/4 to not much less than 500,000 at its height, all gathered together on one vast parade ground. Now multiply that many times over to take into account all the soldiers who ever served in it over the centuries. If just 25,000 new men were needed annually to compensate for the discharge of veterans and those dying in service from illness or in war, then over the 3 centuries from the reign of Augustus to the accession of Diocletian, it is clear that millions of men served in the Roman army at some time during its history. Obviously, it is impossible to work out the actual total. Now imagine that vast parade ground emptied out abruptly. All that remains are a few scattered broken swords, fragments of shields, the odd helmet, as well as a few hundred scattered, ripped, and damaged documents blowing about in the wind, some battered tombstones, and dedications to gods. Apart from the derelict and usually buried ruins of forts, that is what we are left with today, in terms of physical relics of the mighty Roman army. Of course, we also have the anecdotes and accounts recorded by Roman historians, virtually all of which survive only in copies of copies of copies, usually incomplete and frequently short on essential detail, which made it through to the Middle Ages in monastic libraries. Despite all that, the Roman army has survived into our own time as one of the most vivid of all ancient institutions, not least because the evidence for it is stronger than for any other part of the Roman world. Thanks also to cinema and television, despite all their reckless liberties with accuracy, books, reenactors, and education, the Roman soldier is often regarded today as the defining image of the Roman world. This is not at all inappropriate. The Romans surround the empire with great armies and garrison the whole stretch of land and sea like a shingle stronghold, said Appian. Even the word Rome itself was derived from the Greek word Romi, which means strength or might. Writing in the early 2nd century AD, the historian Florus stressed that until the reign of Augustus, Rome had been almost permanently at war. Until 29 BC, he said, the doors of the Temple of Janus had been symbolically closed only twice to mark times of peace. Valor and fortune, virtus et fortuna, had competed to create the Roman Empire, so widely have their armed forces spread through the whole world in the face of toils and peril.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?